Hello and welcome to this edition of Time with Hime. Mr. Hime, how you doing today?
Doing good, moving fast. You know, it's 2 weeks until school starts, first day. We're getting excited, still working a lot to fit the needs and get the options filled. And it's going to be fast and furious, but we're going to make it work.
We have a lot going on and we've got some things to clarify and to share with our families. So let's get started. Let's talk about the mask policy that we passed this recent board meeting.
So Monday night, the board passed a mask policy, very similar to what we've talked about. You know, one thing we included in our mask policy, 4 through 12, basically adults, students are required to wear a mask, except in classrooms where social distancing is possible. One thing we haven't talked a lot about is we're working at different sites for mask breaks. We understand that no one can wear a mask the whole time. They're going to have to catch it off. We're just not used to that. As we get more acclimated to wearing masks, I think we can wear them at longer periods of time. But at this point, we're working on that. Pre-K through 3, they wear masks except for classrooms. They're not required in classrooms pre-K through 3. So basically, the common areas always have masks on. Large group settings always. Classrooms 4 through 12, where social distancing is not possible, wear a mask. Pre-K through 3, classrooms they're optional. Also, we do have a stipulation. We know we have some needs, students with needs. We even have some teachers that a mask is a difficult thing, so they're going to wear shields. And we'll have some students that may need a shield instead of a mask, or either one of them's doesn't fit their needs. Therefore, we'll make those exceptions.
Let's talk about the operations aspect of it. When our kids get on the bus, because we are creating videos for our families to see. So we have mask on bus.
Yeah, the bus driver will have masks. So if your kid forgets their mask, you know, the first assumption you have, and I know what assumptions do to us, is that parents are going to have masks that they wash for their kids, and they're going to have their personal mask that they wear. But if they forget their mask or not, the bus driver will have large and child-sized masks, so a student can get a mask, put it on. There will also be hand sanitizer available on the bus for the students to hand sanitize their hands, because that's the other thing people talk. Wash your hands, social distancing, wear a mask. Those are the 3 things that we're told from the CDC and the health department for safety. So on a bus, you know, we'll have masks available. We're going to ask the students to set apart. If you're sitting with anyone, it should only be a sibling in the same seat, and those are going to be some of the goals. Obviously, the first day of school, you know, we may have to change routes as we go, depending on how many students ride the bus. So, you know, we're going to work hard to make that work the first day of school, but we know this is going to be an ever-growing process. We're going to have to get better every day. And that's one reason we're soliciting from you, the parent, you, the teacher, you know, staff members, to share their opinions with us, because, you know, we've got a lot of feedback from parents. You know, when we talk about our night virtual school as we move forward, the night virtual school is a direct request from parents that how do they serve their children at night if they have virtual, if they choose virtual. So, you know, we went with we opened up that 3 to 9 slot for that.
And we're going to talk to our staff in just a minute, but for the other operation aspect of child nutrition, we're feeding. So
yeah, you know, one thing we've done in our surveys is we found that about 50% of our parents who are choosing virtual would like some kind of option to feed. So we're working with Daniel, our child nutrition director. He does a great job. You know, some of the things you're going to hear is we're going to feed breakfast at the start of school. Before school, if you get there, you can grab a snack or a breakfast. Between first and second hour at the secondary level, it's going to be breakfast. Everybody eats free, so everybody gets a breakfast to their classroom between first and second hour. And then we have lunch later on. And we're even going to have supper, hopefully, by October in most every site in the district. So we're finding ways to feed our students, and the virtual, you know, the options and that flexibility of how we feed our virtual kids. Now, virtual kids don't eat free. It's still on the same free and reduced policy as if they were at school. Now, there's rumors that there's a bill out there that every kid's going to eat free this year until the pandemic's over. So that would be a great thing for our student body. But we're going to try to find a way to feed kids, because, you know, that was an issue this summer. It's an issue now. We want to find a way to feed kids, and we're lucky that our child nutrition director and our staff, they agree, and they're easy to work with for me in that passion of mine to make sure everyone's getting a meal.
Now, you mentioned free and reduced forms. So can you clarify as well that our virtual families still need to do that, and How will they do that?
Yes, and we'll get those forms to you. There's a QR code, I believe, on the site that you can scan to get those in. There's various ways. We'll work hard. And one thing, if you sign up virtually, and this is what people I don't think understand when we get into the virtual side, is if you're an elementary student, you're not going to have one teacher for 100 students. You're going to have one teacher for 30 students or 25 or 30, 32. We're going to keep those numbers low so you have that relationship with that teacher, and the teacher has that relationship. So you'll work with that teacher to get your device and make sure you don't have technical issues, and to get your forms in and so forth. At the secondary level, although you'll have 6 teachers, 7 teachers, depending on how many classes you have, you're going to have one particular teacher that's going to be designated, for lack of a better term, in our day, we called it homeroom. It'll be that homeroom teacher who does give you your announcements and your paperwork, and that's the person you go to if you have technical difficulties and such. And every virtual teacher will have, again, at the secondary level, about 30 or 35 students that they build that one-on-one relationship with. Now, a virtual student will still have the ability to email and contact all 6 or 7 of their teachers, but they'll just have that one go-to teacher for issues outside of academic.
Now we're talking as well about getting the check-in numbers, because that's how we have to staff. Will you let our teachers know what it looks like for them in the meantime and the application that's going out for virtual?
Yes. So right now we have just a little over 10,000 students that's checked in. Hey, if you haven't checked in, please check in. The thing we're hearing a little bit is parents are waiting to check in because they can't make up their mind. Hey, pick one and check in. Hey, we're very flexible for you. We want to make sure we're flexible, and we want to make sure, if you choose virtual today and you get to school and you go walk through the school on the 21st, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, that you can change your mind. We do not want to box you in as a parent. Hey, I know this. My kids are grown, but I'm making a lot of tough decisions right now. I know these are tough decisions for parents to decide, do I do virtual? Do I home them? Do I do virtual at home, or do I take them back traditional? What do I choose? I don't want you to think these choices are choices you're stuck with, that you got to do it for a semester or a year or even a 9 weeks period. We're going to allow you to make adjustments as needed, because the other side of it, we know your personal situation may change. So check in, and so we get all of our students checked in. Right now, we're looking 35-40% of our students want to be virtual, so that's going to be a huge number. I mean, when you look at all of our sites and you take 35 or 40% of our students out, obviously some teachers have to go there. Now we have the 3 to night option open. The purpose of the 3 to night is for students that want it. About 60% are wanting that are choosing virtual, so we got a high number there. So we're going to take a lot of teachers at night. I guess we've pushed out apps for the night virtual. Understand, the only virtual for teachers where they don't have to report to work, that they can work from home, is the night, the 3 to 9. So be sure you're applying for that. No pay change. You'll get the same pay if you do virtual as if you do traditional. And when the COVID's over and we get to turn back to somewhat normal and everybody's back in the classroom, you'll get your spot back. It's not like we're going to move you out, or you're a virtual teacher, now we don't need virtual teachers, so now we're going to get rid of you. You're not losing your spot or your longevity at our district. You'll keep your same steps. So we want to make sure this is not a threat to a teacher to choose the virtual, because in the end, we may have to assign some teachers virtual, and we'd rather it be by choice, and that's our goal.
Now, you did mention August 21st, and that's something we're getting ready to push out to our families today. So if you would, go ahead and share.
As a district leadership, and we've kind of filtered it down to the principals now, we've discussed that one of the things that we know, and I think we've discussed it in a podcast, we know that parents want to escort their students into class, see the classroom, make sure they feel safe there, see some of the safety procedures. We usually do that the night before school starts, from 5 to 7, 6 to 8, different times at different sites depending on the side. You can't get that done in a day now. So what we're going to do is take that first Friday, make it a virtual day for the district where everybody logs on and everybody gets a feel for virtual. And every child can bring one parent or one adult with them to school, whatever school it is, and it'll be, schools will set up their different schedules to keep the social distancing. Obviously, mask will be required, but to come in, meet with the teacher. For our virtual students, if they want to go look at the school, they better go look at their home school just to see if, their neighborhood school. We're trying not to use the word home school because it gets confusing with home, but look at the school that they would have attended if we wouldn't have had the virus, and make sure they don't want to change their mind. And we're going to do that the 21st, and then the 24th will be the actual first traditional day of school without other adults attending. Mask will be required on the 21st. It'll be by an appointment. And again, we're asking that parents just bring students that is their school, and not bring a lot of people with them, because obviously we got to keep the numbers in the building as low as possible, or we can't practice social distancing, or even, we don't want more people in the building on open house orientation. That would be on a regular school day. So that's important to us.
And the sites are going to share that information as far as their schedule.
Yeah, and it's going to be very similar to what we talk about, because the thing about Lawton that's new for me, and it's not new for all of you, but when you stop and think about it, we have one elementary school that has 1,400 students, and we have others that have 225 students. How they put that out there, or how they handle different things, is going to be totally different. So we got to allow them some autonomy, just like we did with the Return to Learn plan. You can find your individual sites Return to Learn plan on site. Same with August 21st, their orientation back to school. Each site will develop their own Return to Learn, or their own orientation now. So on the 21st, of how you can get in there and meet your teacher, orientate yourself through the school, walk through, and kind of see your students' classroom.
Busing food that day.
No busing that day, because parents will be bringing with their kid. We're not going to feed that day right now. So again, one thing we're doing, again, we talked about, is we're looking for creative ways to feed virtual students in VETA. We'd like to find a way to do it similar to summer food. We don't know that the State Department will allow. We'd like to get to the 10 meals, or the 5 meals, or the 2 meals, or, we're multiple, you could have pickup places. But we're going to work with the State Department and find a way to get food, because, again, that's a passion of mine and the staff I work with, is to make sure people are eating.
What about schedules?
Schedules they'll get to pick up that day. Again, that's going to be a very challenging thing for all of our secondary teachers and administrators and counselors and administrative assistants, because here's the thing. They have schedules made. They have teacher schedule made. But if you pull 40% of the students out, technically speaking, you got to pull 40% of the teachers out. Now you got to create a whole new schedule. So the scary thing is for us and a lot of the people is, or the challenging thing, we are starting new at Lawton High School, Lawton MacArthur. All of our secondary schools are starting all over, because they're not going to have the same number of students or teachers as they expected when they left school, or when they developed these schedules. And then we also have to create our virtual A schedule and our virtual B schedule, and our morning AM and our PM. So we've got a lot of work to do. But again, our challenge as leaders was to be flexible for you, the parent, so it'd work. We want you to bring your students to Lawton. I challenge everybody who has questions. You need to start with our virtual school before you consider anything else, because our people have been working very hard to put together quality virtual. And the one thing that will happen at Lawton, if you're a MacArthur student right now and you choose virtual, you'll still be a MacArthur student. You'll just be in our virtual school. You'll still get to be tied to virtual MacArthur. You'll still be that would be the school you would graduate, and you'd be a MacArthur graduate if you're a senior. We do not want our students to lose their ties to that school, and that's very important to us.
Is there anything else that we need to cover for our families this week as we continue updating and changing and talking?
Please continue to submit your questions, because again, we talk about that. We're trying to work on as many ways as we can to communicate with you. Please get make sure your virtual option is known. Make sure your school knows that you want your children to be virtual or traditional, and you want them in morning, AM or PM, or the choices you have made. And don't forget, we're flexible. We know we're going to have some high school kids that they don't want to be in the classroom. They don't feel good being at school, but they want to take an AP class, and they really feel like they need to be there in that class. Those are usually smaller classes, but they want to be in that classroom, so they're just going to come to school for that hour. We're going to make that work. We're going to have some athletes that want to do virtual, but they'll participate. That's acceptable. ROTC students, same thing. Cheerleaders, band, art, music. We're going to work with you, the parent, and you, the student, to make this work. So, we appreciate you bearing with us, and, we're never going to be in a box, and flexibility means I have to be as flexible as well as you have to be flexible. And obviously, we're going to start the 21st with everybody coming through. Then we're going to have everybody on the 24th, and then we're going to look up on August 31st. It's going to be a week later, and I promise you it probably will change in most sites. But hopefully we make good, positive changes, and as we learn, we make improvements.
And we continue to work with our health officials and our city officials as well.
Yeah, anytime we have everybody, it's a big question we get. What are you going to do if so-and-so's negative? What are you going to do if you get this? the first thing we're going to do is pick up and call the health department. They've dealt with this. Look at the paper. They call this all 36,000 cases in Oklahoma. They have access to how they were dealt with. All the Comanche County cases, our health department has dealt with those. So when you tell them that we had a teacher or a principal or a student, they're going to contact trace that and tell us, do you shut down, do you just shut down these 3 or 4 kids need to go home for a few days? Do you need to shut this wing down, this classroom down? They may tell us to shut the whole building down. It's one reason. Our challenge is, and to you teachers, you have to understand, this is why the how and the what, the what and the when, we have decided what you're going to teach, which is state standards. That's been decided by the state. When you're going to teach it is decided by our district scope and sequence. And again, that's a little bit new, but how you teach it is still on you. We're not going to tell you how to teach it. We're going to have a base admin program or a base thing on Google Classroom or to help you, but you teach it how you want. But we all need to be on the same page, because if a student has to go virtual for a month because of various reasons, they need to be able to move back and forth seamlessly and not it being like they move from one school to another school.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in again. I know there's still going to be a lot of questions. We do have our email address, info@lawtonps.org. Continue to follow us on our website. We did have a few hiccups, this past week with it going up and down, but I think that was across the board, and we've got that worked out.
Yes, our website got, and I will say they sent us emails about every 15 minutes, but they were getting major attacks. I think it's everybody wanting to get onto this.
Go to school.
Podcast. Yeah, or no school. There
right,
you go.
Right.
All the students are attacking the school websites because they don't want to have school. But no, I think for the most part, students, like most teachers, they're ready to get back to a norm. And, our job is to make that happen safely. So thank you. And, continue to send your not only your questions, but your suggestions, and hopefully, it just keeps improving.
And we'll be back again next week with another podcast, new information, updates, and all the good stuff you're looking forward to. So thank you guys for joining us again. And until next time, we will see you later.